cosmetic and makeup brands are valuing or prioritizing cheap, sparkly makeup over human rights. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you wanted to join me today because today we're going to talk about the impact of makeup. This is actually one of the Is It Sustainable Materials videos that you have been requesting, and I thought it could be really fun to do. I've already made videos about zero waste makeup and plastic free makeup products and zero waste, get ready with me, homemade DIY cosmetics. What's left to be said is about conventional makeup products, so I thought I wanted to talk about that today. Why the finger guns? The cosmetics and personal care products industry is one of the most versatile industries in the world, and an average American consumer uses between 7 and 12 different cosmetics or personal care products every single day. Several cosmetic brands have bragged about being able to sell their products anywhere in the world and to most demographics as well. And with such a widespread product, I cannot but wonder, what is the impact of that? What's the impact of its production as well as its disposal? Right off the bat, there is of course packaging. So from a zero waste perspective, that has been kind of interesting to me, but there's so much more stuff to uncover. So let's just get started. The impact of makeup can be divided into 3 categories. The first one being packaging, the second one being content, and the third one being production. So let's get right into it. The majority of makeup products come in plastic packaging or with plastic components in its packaging. Sometimes it's often combined with cardboard, but that cardboard is often unrecyclable because it's either mixed with plastic for that shiny finish that we see often, or it's mixed with glue to hold everything in place. Either way, it will end up in landfill. In some rare cases, you are actually able to take everything apart of the packaging and then recycle the individual bits, but that's mostly something I've seen from more eco-conscious brands and not something I've seen a lot from bigger conventional products, if that makes any sense. But packaging is more than a vessel for the product to be transported in. A lot of the selling point and the value of a product is also determined by its packaging. Both the selling point, price, and the value of a certain product is often determined by beautiful packaging, and it reacts very well with consumers when the packaging is really extravagant or really beautiful or really well thought out. But no matter how beautiful most packaging is, it's still single use. There is of course the exception of a few refill policies, which I think is great. But what happens to most single-use plastic packaging? It ends up in landfill, and in landfill it won't ever be able to break down. Some statistics say that it can take hundreds of years, other statistics say it can take up to thousands of years, but the thing is, trash is never really going to be able to break down without air. And the thing with landfills is that when you pile trash on top of trash, no air is able to get in and nothing is able to get out. So no decomposition is actually taking place. And that happens to most of our cosmetic packagings as well. Actually, 70% of all packaging from cosmetics that end up in landfill aren't even finished yet. So there's still product inside. You can still use it. There's still more into it. I mean, the packaging will end up in landfill either way, but at least use the product. So the impact of packaging from cosmetics is the same as the impact as any other plastic product. The production of petroleum-based plastic emits staggering amounts of CO2 and methane, and plastic, if recyclable in the first place, can actually only be recycled around 1 to 3 times. Furthermore, only 9% of the world's plastic is actually being recycled in the first place, so those are not great odds. And plastic products in nature and in our oceans pose enormous threats to ecosystems, to wildlife, and even to ourselves. Of course, there are tons of products that actually use eco-friendly and recyclable or even biodegradable packaging, which I think is great. But this is going to be more focused on the conventional products and how the conventional practices are run. What we are seeing on the eco-friendly packaging base is often that a huge brand will make a line or even just a product that is eco-friendly or in recyclable packaging. And that's its own specific little product. It's not in practice that they are like taking through their entire line and rearranging and like redirecting everything else. So the eco-friendly products or the eco-friendly packagings are often becoming an addition to an already existing line. It's not something that changes stuff that's already there, which is too bad. Now let's take a look at content, and there's really no way of doing this without also talking about the dirty dozen. The Dirty Dozen is a list of 12 different chemicals. I mean, everything is technically a chemical, but harmful chemicals, toxins, and also fragrances that are extremely harmful to the body and, by extension also rather terrible to the environment. This is the list of the Dirty Dozen. I'm not going to try to sit here and say them all. I'm pretty sure I'm going to butcher at least a few of them, but if you're interested in one or more of these specific ingredients, you can go to the link down below I've left, and there's another website who is taking you through all of the effects of these ingredients, what they do, and why they're bad. And usually it's stuff like cancer, hormone disruption, fun stuff. And generally when we wear these products, we at one point going to have to take them off. For instance, with makeup, you wash your face and you rinse it off. And the makeup you once wore on your face is going to be washed down the drain. And when that happens, the chemicals, the toxins, and the fragrances within your products bioaccumulate. Bioaccumulating is a fancy way of saying that it builds up and it never degrades, because most of these toxins are synthetic, which means that they have no way of breaking down or dissolving once they get out into our oceans. Instead, they start to react with other chemical compounds in the ocean, and that can be really, really dangerous. A study from the University of Gothenburg in Sweden actually showed that even harmless chemicals can react very dangerously when they are mixed with other chemical compounds in the ocean, which is what happens every time we wear something and every time we rinse it off. But are these Dirty Dozen ingredients in a lot of products? Heck yes. More than 6,000 individuals participated in a survey in Canada, providing information for more than 12,000 personal care products. Almost 80% of all products reportedly contained at least one of the Dirty Dozen ingredients, and more than half of the products contained multiple Dirty Dozen ingredients. And for 1,000 of these products, the participants were unable to even locate the ingredients list. There are also several products that contain many Dirty Dozen ingredients, up to 7 actually, and some of these products are the Lancome Photogenic Foundation, the Rimmel Lasting Finish Foundation, Estee Lauder's lipsticks, and Maybelline's Perfect Fit Me. I know. Spilling tea on cosmetics. Okay, but honestly, I never really cared too much about what I put in my garbage bin body. I had vegan onion rings for breakfast, and I have a really hard time emotionally caring about having 1 or 2 of the Dirty Dozen ingredients inside of me, because I already do a lot of stupid stuff. Like, I drink alcohol and I eat garbage food. So what is 1 or 2 more of the Dirty Dozen, right? Well, you won't necessarily see any effect right away, but over time, these Dirty Dozen ingredients can react in your body and cause some very serious damage, like chronic illnesses, like hormone disruptions and cancers. But my number 1 priority is not my own garbage bin body, it's definitely Mother Earth. We gotta treat her right. Over 700,000 pollutants are released into our oceans every single day, from cleaning products, from cosmetics, and from hair dyes and stuff like that. And that stuff never goes away. Just like plastic never goes away, these synthetic toxins are always going to be there, and they will bioaccumulate and they will cause some serious damage. But it is becoming general knowledge that synthetics and chemicals and fragrances and stuff like that is no good. It's kind of bad. So a lot of companies are actually going to the completely other end of the spectrum and cashing in on using words like organic or natural, and that is also something that I'm not completely okay with, and I'll tell you why. I have an issue with the use of the word natural as a selling point, because it does not necessarily mean that a product is good. Here's what the FDA has to say about natural ingredients. In fact, natural ingredients may be harder to preserve against microbial contamination and growth than synthetic raw materials. Consumers should not necessarily assume that an organic or natural ingredient or product would possess greater inherent safety than another chemically identical version of the same ingredient. As a consumer, we have to be really, really critical, and that can sometimes be hard in an industry that is this untransparent. I've seen countless brands attempt to promote themselves as natural because there's honey or vegetable oil or coconut in one of their products, but what they fail to mention is the 11 Dirty Dozen ingredients that hide right behind that natural label. And in that way, I think it's important as a consumer to remember that natural is often an alibi and not always what you expect it to be. We just have to be careful. Another thing that I have to mention, and I'm sorry, I've talked about this in many videos before, and there are always people who seem to be really pissed off at me when I say this, but I mean, don't kill the messenger. I'm just saying what is out there. Okay, glitter is plastic. Sue me. Glitter is plastic. Glitter is made from small plastic components, and when we use them in makeup, which we do quite often, and in clothes, and generally in arts and craft projects and everything else, when we use glitter and we have to take it off at some point, we rinse it down our drains and we flush microplastic directly out into the ocean. So why don't we just use biodegradable glitter, or why don't we just use natural glitters? There are tons of really great natural or biodegradable glitter alternatives. I actually have something that's made from seaweed and from leaves, and I think that's really cool. You can make so many natural kinds of confetti. But one of the things that are very common in cosmetics is mica. And mica is a naturally occurring mineral that's very glittery, and it's used in almost all kinds of cosmetics. If you have an ingredients list on a makeup product, you can go on, look at the back and see if there's mica in it, because chances are that that's the case. But there are also issues with mica that I think we as consumers should be aware of. Today's main source of this mineral comes from India. India accounts for about 60% of the world's mica mining business and possess an industry that's estimated to have grown 8.5% during the last 2 years. But child labor is a giant problem in India's mica mining business, and over 80% of the mines in India are basically unregulated. Children in the Indian mica mining business make about a quarter a day, risking their lives in these mines to provide the mineral for the Western market. And in comparison, a Chanel highlighter with natural mica in it costs about $60. It's ironic that people in resource and mineral-rich areas, many places in the world, are also some of those most affected by poverty. This is due to human exploitation and corruption. Many of these companies and industries that purchase mica from these mines are not helping to build the community up, it's breaking it down. Child labor is a problem in many industries, and just like in those, the regulation to avoid children in forced labor is often corrupt and inefficient. Bigger Western companies will often pay the factory to inspect themselves, which means that a lot of this forced labor goes by undetected. You can of course make the argument that bad things happen in every industry, and that is for the most part true as well. But I think it's worth considering where we get our mica from, especially because it's such an unnecessary product. Some brands are also trying to phase out the natural mica, one of them being Lush, who is opting for lab-grown mica instead. I also really want to put it out there that a lot of these children that are affected by forced labor and child labor do not have the option or the privilege to choose, and if they didn't work, they would often starve. Therefore, the solution to this problem is not necessarily to boycott all mica, but it's to push the industry towards an ethical sourcing of this mineral. In short, the brands that use the mica from these mines have to be responsible in those areas as well. They have to build the community with the people that work there. They have to make sure that the children are safe and that the children are offered education, so they at one point or another can make a choice, and that they will suddenly have the privilege to do other things and won't be forced to do something in order not to starve. I really want to have all the nuances here, because usually when we're talking about mica, it's really easy to just go, oh, boycott it all. Just if we boycott the product, the child labor will disappear. And yeah, it will, but for the wrong reasons, you feel. So I'm not pro-child labor, obviously, I'm pro-child. Another ingredient that is often in cosmetics and personal care products as well is palm oil. And palm oil I've actually talked about on this channel, so if you are really interested in learning stuff like more specifics about palm oil production, I have a whole video just dedicated to palm oil, so I definitely think you should go and watch that. Palm oil is the most utilized vegetable oil in the world, and its intense production is causing loss of wildlife and loss of wild habitat and deforestation, specifically in Malaysia and in Indonesia. But that video is very focused on palm oil in food, because that was what I was focusing on at the time. But it's actually one of the more common products in many cosmetic products and in many personal care products as well. So I think it's really important to mention that that is also something that we have to sort of educate ourselves upon, and to find out, okay, where is this palm oil being sourced? What's going on? How's this going down? And if you're interested in watching more about palm oil and sustainable palm oil, you can go and watch that video right now. This was a spoiler, by the way, but what can you do? Then there is production, and I guess the mica issue would also kind of technically fall under this category, because a lot of cosmetic and makeup brands are valuing or prioritizing cheap sparkly makeup over human rights. But there are other aspects of the production of makeup that I really want to get into. The first one being animal testing. More than 100 million animals are being tested on in the US every single year, and they are burned, crippled, killed, poisoned, whatever awful thing you can think of is happening to 100 million animals every single year. However, a lot of countries, especially in Europe, are looking into complete animal testing bans, which I think is amazing, but it is of course something that still has a long way to go. We have the technology to completely phase out all animal testing, and there are actually a lot of benefits to that as well, besides, you know, respecting the lives of living beings. There is actually the notion that a lot of effects that you can see in animals and animal testing have literally no effect on people, and vice versa. And vice versa is kind of problematic, you see. If a product is tested on animals and it's a-okay, and then you find out that in humans that the product reacted in a completely different way. That is not uncommon, that is not unheard of. So we might as well completely phase out all animal testing altogether and rely on AIs and algorithms to do this kind of stuff for us, because that is actually possible, and that is way more accurate, and that way it's also way more ethical. The reason why that bit was so short is because this next bit is going to be a little bit longer, and it's because it's something that bothers me like on a deep personal level. Because a problem when it comes to cosmetics is the production, or the sheer scale of the production. We produce a lot of makeup, and way more than we need, and it's becoming more and more popular for celebrities or to YouTubers to do merch that is cosmetics and distribute this to their subscribers. I have seen so many makeup products that are being launched by celebrities, which selling point is that they made it, and the other way around. It's like it's a whole thing. I don't really care for celebrity collabs with makeup brands, and I don't really care for that sort of selling point, because it speaks to an idea of overconsumption that I personally just do not like in particular. Also because a lot of this celebrity makeup of these YouTuber duo makeup collabs are usually palettes. Palettes have become so freaking popular. I've never really had like an actual palette myself, but this is why I really cannot stand the palette thing. Okay, so when you buy a palette, it's usually a lot of money. There's usually a lot of packaging. We all know this. But the thing is with palettes that you do not necessarily get to choose the colors yourself. And a lot of people will buy a palette if it's made by someone they want to support or they really like, and they will buy the colors that were picked out for them for the palette, right? It makes sense. But the thing is, usually, and this is just from my own experience and experience that I have, you know, observed from people that I know, when you have your palette, you will usually end up using a couple of the colors, like 3 or 4 different shades are going to be some you're going to hit pan with and really appreciate. And then there will always be like those colors that you're never ever going to touch, or that you will very rarely touch, and that you would never ever buy in a million years if you had to pick them all out individually. Which is why I appreciate when companies like, for instance, Elate in Australia, and there are other companies that does this as well, I just cannot come up with them on top of my head, that have like, you can buy the clean palette and then you can add your own individual like picks for your palette, and you will suddenly have a palette that is all the stuff that you are going to use. But that's something we see so little of in the conventional cosmetic industry, because that way you're not going to sell a lot of product. So buying a product with a lot of unnecessary stuff in it you're never going to use, I just really don't like, especially when we consider how much effort goes into making it, how many resources goes into making it, and it's just going to be thrown away eventually. Again, 70% of all packaging that's related to cosmetics and makeup end up in landfill unfinished. So I'm really not there for these kind of like celebrity collab makeup lines that are really extensive and really big, and where there are tons of colors that you're never ever going to use, but you don't really have a choice if you want to support that person. An issue that's visible throughout both the packaging, throughout content, throughout production is the lack of transparency. The industry of beauty, of makeup, of cosmetics, of personal care products lacks so much transparency. It's so difficult for the individual consumer to figure out where's the mica coming from, where the ingredients coming from in general, what is even in these products. Because have you ever tried reading the ingredients list of a cosmetic product? It's absolutely impossible, because you don't understand half the words that are on there. Maybe that's just me. I find it very difficult, which is why I started to make my own products in the first place, and which is why I've opted for cosmetic products that have very short ingredients lists with words that I can understand, which is something. Not to say that synthetic product or like synthetic ingredients, as the FDA also stated, is inherently worse, but there are so little transparency that it can be really hard to figure out if what you're using is a-okay, if what you're using is greenwashing, or if what you're using is one of the dirty dozen. I hope that this video shed some light on some of these issues for you, or just made it a tad bit easier to navigate the world of cosmetics and makeup, and maybe now you have an idea of what you have to refuse or what you're definitely going to stop using right now. I hope that that was what I intended with this video, so I definitely hope that it worked. But before I end this video, I have 15 tips for a more sustainable beauty routine that I would love to go over with you, so just stay tuned for that. It's coming right now. First one is rely on refill policies. More and more companies are opting for reusable packaging so you can get your product refilled, which is really, really cool. And these companies usually also have some sort of line where you can actually recycle, or they can recycle the packaging for you. Try to avoid palettes and generally big products with tons of shades in them that you're never going to use. Try to build your own palette with all the shades that you use often, so you won't have any that you won't use ever. Tons of companies have palette refills where you can get like the small individual tins wrapped in cardboard, and buying those rather than buying the big palette is definitely worth something. Avoid the dirty dozen. I know this can be a lot to ask, but I've made it my deal to have a list on my phone with all the ingredients that I definitely know I don't want to use, and then I'll simply cross-check with the ingredients list on the products before I buy them. Never buy a product without an ingredients list. Never, ever, 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 ever. Avoid knockoff products in general, because their ingredients tend to be much less regulated than the original product. Try having just a few shades, and then you can blend them together for a lighter or for a darker shade. I've done this with both eyeshadows and lipsticks for so long. Don't buy makeup products from cheap sellers like Wish. Just don't buy products from Wish. Check for the use of palm oil as well. If there's a product from a brand that you would like to purchase, see if you can find stuff out about the brand before you purchase it. Like, do they have any certifications, or have they done any charity work, or are they taking a stance against certain unsustainable products and ingredients, and do they have any certifications or receipts to show that they actually care? Boycott plastic-based glitter and sparkle. Support brands that take a stance against unethically sourced natural mica. Or, use lab-grown mica. Choose products that come in packaging that is either reusable or recyclable. Try and see if you can transition from liquid products to solid products as well, because solid products usually come with much less packaging. For instance, shampoo and conditioner can become shampoo and conditioner soap baths instead. This was it. This was my video on the impact of makeup. I hope that you liked this video. If you have any comments, leave them down below. And if you have any suggestions for other videos that belong in this series, let me know. I would be delighted to look into it. I have a couple of other ones on the drawing board right now. I'm so excited to show you. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you are staying safe and taking good care of yourself. I hope to see you guys in my next video. Please subscribe to my channel before you go. That would make my day, and also that will keep you updated whenever there's a new video. You can also like up this video. That would also make my day. This was enough with the shameless self-promoting. I'll see you guys in my next video. Take really good care of yourselves. Until next time. Bye. Thank you so much for watching this video, and also a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys help me create green, zero-waste content, and I love you guys. You can find the links to my social media accounts down below and the link to my Patreon on this screen. Bye!